It does not arrive like lightning. It does not sweep across the earth in 10 years. It does not conquer with breathtaking speed. It advances differently. Daniel has already seen gold fall. He has watched silver rise and then shatter. He has witnessed bronze race across the world without touching the ground. Greece came like a storm. Alexander burned to the Persian Empire in less than a decade. Cities collapsed. Kings fled. The world changed almost overnight. But prophecy does not end with bronze. In Daniel 2, after the chest and arms of silver, after the belly and thighs of bronze, something heavier appears, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. Daniel 2:40. Not brilliant like gold, not precious like silver, not swift like bronze, iron crushes. Daniel 7 intensifies the picture. The prophet sees a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. Daniel 7:7. Gold was majestic, silver was structured, bronze was rapid. This one is terrifying. Daniel does not describe beauty. He describes force. This animal is unlike the others. It does not resemble a lion, a bear, or a leopard. It is simply dreadful. Its defining feature is iron. The language of Daniel 2 and Daniel 7 begins to overlap. Iron that breaks in pieces, iron teeth that devour, a kingdom that subdues all things, a power that stamps the residue under its feet. If the sequence has been consistent so far, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, then another empire must follow Greece. The prophecy does not skip, it moves forward. When Greece fractured after the death of its first king, its territory was divided among generals. The world did not remain under unified Hellenistic control. Internal rivalry weakened the structure. And while those divisions fought for dominance, another power was rising quietly in the West. It did not announce itself with philosophical schools or sweeping reforms. It did not move with the sudden brilliance of Alexander. It expanded methodically, region by region, war by war. Rome, Daniel never uses the word Rome. The prophecy does not need to. It gives characteristics, it gives sequence, it gives structure. History supplies the name. After Greece, no global empire emerged except Rome. If this word is encouraging your faith, hit like and consider subscribing. It truly helps the message go further. It defeated the remaining Hellenistic kingdoms. It absorbed territory. It extended authority across the Mediterranean world. By the 1st century before Christ, Rome stood unrivaled. And unlike Greece, Rome did not simply conquer. It organized. It built roads, codified law, structured provinces, and established a military machine that enforced compliance. Iron fits. Rome was disciplined, relentless, and crushing in its suppression of rebellion. Daniel 2:40 says this fourth kingdom would rake in pieces and bruise. Daniel 7:7 says it would devour and break in pieces. The repetition is not accidental. The prophet is emphasizing impact. Consider the historical pattern. Carthage resisted Rome in the Punic Wars. It was not merely defeated, it was dismantled. The Hellenistic kingdoms of the East fell one by one. Opposition did not linger. Rome stamped it out. Its authority extended from Britain to North Africa, from Spain to the Near East. The New Testament world unfolds under Roman rule. When the gospel narratives open, a decree goes out from Caesar Augustus, Luke 2:1. Crucifixion, the execution method used against Christ, was a Roman instrument. The early church expands along Roman roads. The Apostle Paul appeals to Roman law. The Iron Kingdom frames the very stage upon which the Messiah appears. This is not coincidence. The prophetic sequence is moving toward a climax. Babylon set the pattern of imperial pride. Medo-Persia demonstrated structured expansion. Greece spread culture rapidly. Rome consolidated the world politically. Daniel 7 describes the fourth beast as diverse from all the beasts that were before it. Daniel 7:7. Rome was different. It did not merely replace previous empires. It absorbed and restructured them. It adopted elements of Greek culture, Persian administration, and Babylonian legacy. It unified what had previously been fragmented. Yet, the prophecy does not stop at iron strength. Daniel 2 continues. After describing the iron, the text introduces a complication. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Daniel 2:41. Iron mixed with clay, strong and brittle at the same time. Rome did not remain eternally unified. Internal strain, political instability, so many boys from Rome and Wendell are adored its cohesion. The Western Roman Empire formally collapsed in the 5th century. The territory did not vanish. Daniel 7 had already shown this in another form. The fourth beast had 10 horns. Daniel 7:7. Later the angel explains, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. Daniel 7:24. 10 horns, 10 divisions, iron and clay. The prophetic framework remains consistent across chapters. Daniel 2 uses metals. Daniel 7 uses beasts and horns. Both describe a fourth global power followed by fragmentation. After Rome's decline, Europe did not return to a single imperial authority. Instead, multiple kingdoms emerged within the former Roman territory. Attempts were made throughout history to reunite what had been divided. Charlemagne sought consolidation. Later rulers tried to restore imperial unity. Even in modern times, alliances form and dissolve. Yet, the structure remains mixed, iron and clay, strength alongside instability. Daniel 2:43 adds a subtle but powerful line. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Efforts at union would continue, but complete fusion would fail. The prophecy is not vague. It does not say merely that Rome would weaken. It says the structure would change form, from unified iron to divided iron mixed with clay, from centralized authority to fragmented rule. When Daniel received this vision, Rome had not yet conquered the Mediterranean. Greece still dominated the cultural landscape, yet the sequence unfolds exactly as described. Babylon fell, Medo-Persia ruled, Greece swept across the earth. Rome crushed and consolidated, Rome divided. The pattern is measurable, and this is where the tension deepens. Daniel 2 does not introduce a fifth early empire after Rome. It does not describe another metal. It moves from iron and clay to a stone cut out without hands that strikes the image upon its feet. Daniel 2:34. The iron, clay, bronze, silver, and gold are broken together. The wind carries them away. The stone becomes a great mountain and fills the whole earth. The prophetic sequence does not anticipate another global human empire after Rome's divided phase. It anticipates divine intervention. Because if the fourth kingdom has already appeared, and if its divided phase has already unfolded, then the timeline is not open-ended. It is moving toward a conclusion. Rome's strength shaped history. Its division reshaped Europe. But it did not fulfill the final promise. The stone is still future in Daniel 2's narrative. The everlasting kingdom has not yet filled the earth. This perspective prevents two extremes. It prevents despair because political fragmentation does not surprise heaven. It also prevents misplaced hope in human systems because prophecy does not assign ultimate permanence to iron or clay. The sequence of Daniel 2, 7, and 8 is not random symbolism, it is progressive revelation. Chapter 2 outlines the framework. Chapter 7 intensifies the character. Chapter 8 zooms in on specific transitions. Each chapter confirms the previous one. Each layer strengthens the credibility of the whole. When Rome appears in history precisely where the prophecy places it, confidence in the remaining portions grows. If the earlier kingdoms unfolded exactly as described, the final movement will also unfold according to the revealed plan. Rome's story is not only about military conquest, it is about timing. The Messiah entered history during the Iron Kingdom. The crucifixion occurred under Roman authority. The early proclamation of the gospel spread through Roman infrastructure. The same empire that wielded power became the backdrop for redemption. Daniel's vision is therefore not merely political analysis. It is theological architecture. Empires rise within boundaries. They exercise authority for a season. They collapse or transform when their appointed time ends.
The fourth kingdom was strong as iron. It broke in pieces. It devoured. It divided. And it set the stage for the final act. If Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome can be traced in sequence, then prophecy is not guesswork.
It is a measured unveiling of history. And if the iron phase has already passed into iron mixed with clay, then we are living in the era Daniel foresaw long ago. The image still stands on its feet. The stone has not yet struck. History has followed the script so far. It will not deviate at the end. It did not fall the way the others fell. Babylon collapsed in a night. Medo-Persia was shattered by speed. Greece fractured at the height of its strength. But Rome did something different. Rome absorbed, Rome adapted, Rome endured. Daniel 7 had already warned that the fourth beast would not resemble the others. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. Daniel 7:7. The language is deliberate, dreadful, terrible, exceedingly strong, different. When Daniel described Babylon, he used the imagery of a lion. When he described Medo-Persia, it was a bear. Greece appeared as a leopard with wings. Each had animal features that conveyed speed or strength. But the fourth beast does not even receive a zoological comparison. It is simply monstrous, unnamed. Beyond classification, in Daniel 2, the same power appeared as iron, not gold, not silver, not bronze, iron. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. Daniel 2:40. The symbolism is consistent. Iron crushes, iron grinds, iron enforces. Historically, Rome fits that profile with precision. It did not conquer merely through brilliance like Alexander. It conquered through discipline, engineering, and relentless organization. The Roman legions were not only soldiers, they were builders. Roads connected provinces, laws standardized governance, infrastructure bound distant regions together. When Rome took territory, it integrated it. This is why the fourth kingdom is described as devouring and stamping what remained. It did not simply defeat rivals, it incorporated them into its system. By the time Rome reached its zenith, the Mediterranean world functioned within a unified legal and administrative framework. The Pax Romana was not peace through harmony, it was peace through supremacy. But prophecy is not satisfied with military history alone. Daniel 7 adds a crucial detail. The beast had 10 horns, and they had 10 horns, Daniel 7. Later, the angel explains, "And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise." Daniel 7:24. Daniel 2 had already prepared us for this development. After the iron legs of the statue, the feet appear, partly iron, partly clay. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay, and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Daniel 2:41. The iron does not disappear. It remains present, but it is mixed with something weaker. Strength combined with fragility. History mirrors the outline. The Western Roman Empire did not collapse in a single dramatic moment like Babylon. It weakened, it fragmented. Germanic tribes established control over various regions. The imperial structure splintered into multiple kingdoms. The old unity gave way to division. Yet notice what Daniel 2 emphasizes. The iron remains. Even in division, Roman influence persists. Legal systems, language, architecture, political concepts, these do not vanish. The empire transforms rather than evaporates. Daniel 7 reinforces the same trajectory. 10 horns emerge from the fourth beast. This is not a new animal. It is the same beast entering a different phase. The power that once marched in disciplined legions now manifests in divided authorities. But the story does not end with 10 horns. Daniel says, "I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn." Daniel 7:8. He does not shift to a different beast. The new development grows from within the fourth kingdom structure. It is not foreign to Rome. It is not foreign to Rome. It rises among its divisions. The description becomes more specific. The little horn uproots 3 of the 10. It has eyes like the eyes of a man. It has a mouth speaking great things. It is not merely political. It possesses intelligence, perception, and voice. It exerts influence not only through force, but through claim. At this stage, the tension changes character. Babylon gloried in its architecture. Medo-Persia expanded administratively. Greece dazzled culturally. Rome imposed order militarily. But the little horn introduces something different. The conflict is no longer centered on territorial conquest alone. It begins to touch authority at a deeper level. Daniel 7:25 adds that this power would speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. This is no longer simply imperial administration. It involves religious dimension. It involves law. It involves the relationship between heaven and earth. But before we move fully into that territory, we must recognize the structural continuity. The little horn does not rise from Babylon. It does not rise from Medo-Persia. It does not rise from Greece. It rises from the fourth beast, from Rome's divided stage. This continuity matters. Daniel's visions are sequential. Daniel 2 presents the metallic outline. Daniel 7 expands the character. Daniel 8 had focused primarily on Medo-Persia and Greece, preparing the sanctuary theme. Now Daniel 7's fourth beast becomes central to understanding what follows in history. Rome Imperial fulfilled the crushing iron phase. Rome divided fulfilled the 10-horn phase. But prophecy indicates that something emerges from within that divided environment that extends the influence of the fourth kingdom beyond its original political form. If you look at the trajectory historically, after the fall of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century, Europe did not become spiritually neutral. The vacuum of centralized authority created space for another form of unity to develop. While political kingdoms fought and shifted, a different kind of influence consolidated. The prophetic structure implies that the fourth kingdom does not simply fade into obscurity, it evolves. The iron remains in the clay. The beast remains even as horrors multiply. The transition is gradual but decisive. This is why Daniel describes the fourth beast as diverse from all the beasts that were before it. Daniel 7:7, its diversity is not limited to military strength. It is diverse in duration and transformation. It spans phases, it stretches across centuries, it bridges imperial and post-imperial history. And Daniel sees something else in the midst of this sequence. After describing the little horn's activity, the scene shifts dramatically. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, Daniel 7:9. The focus moves from earth to heaven, from beastly power to divine judgment. This is critical. The rise of the fourth kingdom and its transformation is not the final word. The prophecy does not end in iron or horns. It ends in judgment and kingdom transfer, but we are not there yet. At this point in the narrative, the tension remains unresolved. The fourth kingdom's influence extends further than any before it. Its transformation introduces spiritual claims. Its reach penetrates law and conscience. Daniel 2 had shown that the iron extends down into the feet. Daniel 7 shows that the beast persists into a divided stage. Both chapters indicate that the fourth kingdom story intersects directly with the final act of history, the stone cut without hands that strikes the image on its feet. Daniel 2:34-35. That detail is significant. The stone does not strike the head of gold. It does not strike the chest of silver. It strikes the feet, the final phase of the fourth kingdom's existence. This means the last conflict before the establishment of God's kingdom unfolds within the environment shaped by Rome's legacy. The implications are sobering. The world we inhabit still reflects structures inherited from that fourth empire. Legal traditions, political concepts, ecclesiastical forms, even calendar systems trace back through Roman channels. The iron has never entirely disappeared. When Daniel saw the beast with iron teeth, he was witnessing more than ancient warfare. He was seeing a framework that would influence civilization for millennia. Yet prophecy assures that even this formidable power operates within boundaries. Daniel 7 does not portray the fourth beast as eternal. Its authority is examined. Its claims are evaluated. Its dominion is ultimately removed. Daniel 7:26. The pattern across the empires is clear. Each appears dominant in its era. Each shapes history profoundly. Each assumes stability, but none escapes the divine timetable. Babylon glittered and fell. Medo-Persia organized and fell. Greece dazzled and fractured. Rome crushed and transformed. And within that transformation, a new kind of tension emerged, one that blends political authority with spiritual assertion. We have now reached the point where the narrative cannot continue without addressing that development directly. The little horn cannot be treated as a minor detail. It becomes central to understanding the final movements of Daniel's prophecy. The fourth kingdom did not end when the legions withdrew. It entered a new phase. And that phase sets the stage for the most intense spiritual conflict described in the book. The iron still exists in the clay. The beast still breathes through its horns. And history moves forward toward a confrontation, not between empires alone, but between claims of authority, earthly and divine. The next step will require precision. Because when prophecy begins to speak about law, time, and worship, the discussion moves from archaeology and battlefields into the realm of conscience. Rome has crossed from iron strength to divided structure.
What rises from within that structure changes the nature of the struggle entirely.
Rome did not disappear, it transformed. When Babylon fell, it was gone. When Greece fractured, it dissolved into competing powers. But Rome became something deeper than an empire. It became a framework, a structure, a legacy that shaped law, governance, religion,
and even the calendar by which much of the world still lives. Daniel saw iron. Then he saw iron mixed with clay, strength mixed with fragility, unity mixed with division.
And he saw that the final act of history would strike at the feet, not at the head of God, not at the chest of silver, not at the bronze. That means the last great conflict unfolds in a world still carrying Rome's imprint. We are not watching ancient history. We are living in the shadow of it. And here is the sobering part. Daniel 7 does not simply describe political transitions. It reveals that power eventually moves beyond swords and armies. It moves into law, into worship, into authority over conscience. Every empire before Rome conquered land, but Rome's legacy would influence belief. That is where the prophecy begins to tighten.
Because when authority touches worship, the question is no longer about territory. It is about allegiance. Who defines truth? Who defines obedience? Who defines loyalty? Daniel does not present these empires merely so we can admire fulfilled prophecy.
He presents them so we can understand the trajectory of power and recognize that human systems always seek permanence. They always assume durality. They always overestimate their strength. But Daniel 2 already told us how this story ends. A stone cut without hands strikes the image at its feet. Not by human revolution, not by political reform, but by divine intervention. Every earthly structure, no matter how impressive, is temporary. Rome looked eternal. The Caesars thought it unshakable. The legions believed it invincible. Yet the iron cracked. And if iron cracks, so will every system built by human hands. The question is not whether kingdoms rise. They always do. The question is where your hope is anchored. If your confidence is in political stability, history warns you. If your security is in cultural dominance, history humbles you. If your trust is in human authority, history corrects you. But if your trust is in the one Daniel saw in the judgment scene, the Ancient of Days, then your foundation is not tied to shifting empires. Daniel lived through Babylon. He served under Medo-Persia. He saw Greece in vision. He saw Rome in prophecy. But his allegiance never shifted with the throne. And that is the invitation for us. We are not called to fear kingdoms. We are called to discern them. We are not called to idolize power. We are called to recognize its limits. Because the next development in Daniel's prophecy will move from iron strength to spiritual authority. And that is where the tension deepens. Rome does not vanish, it evolves. And when it evolves, the conflict moves from battlefield to belief. In the next episode, we step into that shift, where prophecy stops describing empire alone and begins describing something far more personal. Until then, the message is simple. Empires fall, systems fracture, power reshapes itself, but Christ remains. And when the stone finally strikes, only one kingdom will stand. Make sure your loyalty is already there.